This is a podcast of 98fm's Dublin Talks. Remember, catch the show live Monday to Friday at 10 a.m.
98fm's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
98FM.
I want to give a formal warning at this point on this programme. If you have in the vicinity of a radio or a computer and you're listening to this programme, if you have young children around, I would ask that you switch off the programme right now. Because we're about to demonstrate something that we don't want small ears to hear. So you have been warned. If you have young children around and you don't want them to hear something of a sexual nature, I would ask you to please turn off your radio right now. Okay, so don't say you haven't been warned. New statistics have shown that more than 1/3 of parents, their children have viewed pornography, mostly accidentally, while surfing online, according to research out today. Some of the things children have stumbled across include graphic violence and hardcore porn. One of the most common ways of children finding over 18's material is on a mobile phone. Because when you think about it, if you give a child a mobile phone, in most cases, smartphones have full internet access with no protection. You're basically giving your child full, unsupervised internet access and saying, there you go. Anything you want is out there. Here's a question for you. Would you give your 10-year-old child a porn DVD to watch? I'm sure the answer from most of you is absolutely not. Because some people believe that giving a child a smartphone that has internet access is the exact same thing. And with that in mind, I want to ask this question to you. At what age do you think it is appropriate to give a child a smartphone? A phone that is capable of accessing the internet. Latest figures show that 1 in 10 children are given a smartphone from the age of 5. The typical age for a first phone, though, is 11. Is this too young? Especially if the phone has internet access? I'd love to hear from you on this on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme at 0877 98 98 98. Now, with Christmas just around the corner, I know an awful lot of you have the kids plaguing you to buy them like an iPhone SE or a Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge or whatever as their main Christmas present. But where do you draw the line? Where do you allow this to happen? Jeremy is here with me with just to kind of prove a point.
Yeah, now this is, there are people that are going to listen to this and go, duh, we knew that already. But here's a fact. There are a lot of parents listening who haven't got a clue. Or maybe they have got a clue and they've just sort of, they're blinded by the whole thing and they don't want to know. You know the way parents are sometimes. I don't want to know. Don't tell me, I don't want to know. And they will live blissfully unaware of how easy it is for your child to access porn. Okay, so if you have young ears listening to the show, switch off now or get your children away. We are only doing this to tell you how dangerous that this actually is, okay? Well, I was about to say it's not to shock you, but the reason we are doing it is to shock you. Because you probably sent your child off to school today. So let's take an example. William is 11 years of age. Okay, and William has a smartphone, as most 11-year-olds do have. And there's nothing fancy about it. It's just like the phone I have here, a Samsung phone, okay, with internet capability, okay? And William, during his lunch break in the yard or whatever, a couple of the young fellas are talking together, and 11-year-olds, as you know, they're a lot more aware than we were at 11 years of age. So William decides to get his phone and opens up his browser, Google browser. And he types in the words oral sex. Okay, just as an example. He types in oral sex, okay, into Google. And then he clicks on videos because he's very clever. What happens then is when you put in any sexual term into Google and click on the video link, then what happens is, well, Adrian, I want you to tell the listeners what just came up there.
Oh, look, a whole list of every single type of conceivable definition of that word.
Okay, so you have about 20 different videos of all sorts. Now, the only way we got this was by texting the word oral sex into Google. An 8-year-old could do that. An 11-year-old most certainly could do that. So it clicks on the video then. I said, this is not to shock you, it's to let you know how easy this is. Click on the video. Video is loading. And, oh, look at that. Now, I don't need to explain to you what's happening in that video. Well, maybe I do. It's a fairly graphic. Adrian, look at it yourself there.
Oh, yeah.
That is put it this way. This is exactly what you would see in any porn movie. So, William, the 11-year-old, has after being able to access this. It's a video of a woman performing oral sex on a man. Accessible
just
to
like that.
anybody who has a mobile phone. We're after doing several different experiments on this, putting different words into Google. You don't have to know porn sites to be able to access porn on a phone.
No, was from a Google search.
That's the whole thing that people think, oh, my 11-year-old doesn't know the name of... And there's probably lots of you listening at the moment who don't know the name of porn sites. You don't need to know the name of porn sites. If you put any sort of sexual act into Google and you click on videos, as I'm just doing now, a video will come up straight away, and this is graphic content. Do you really want your 11-year-old watching this? I mean, it's actually a porn movie. That's what I'm watching here. Accessible.
Okay, we get the idea.
Accessible through an everyday mobile phone.
1 in 10 children, 1/3 of parents say that their children have viewed pornography while surfing online, according to research out today. And by the way, that's research of parents. And it says more than 1/3 of parents say their children have viewed porn. That doesn't account for the parents who actually haven't a bloody clue that their kids have accessed pornography. I would love to hear from you on this, on 6797981. Are you a parent who has allowed your child, and for the purposes of argument here, I'm going to say a child under the age of 12. Have you allowed a child under the age of 12 to have a smartphone? A phone that can access the internet. A phone that literally gives a child the world at his or her fingertips. Because that is how children are accessing pornography today. The question I asked you a while ago is, would you give your 10-year-old a porn DVD? You absolutely would not. Not under any circumstances, would you? But by giving a young child a smartphone, that's basically what you're doing. You're giving them unfettered access to the internet to watch everything and anything they want to watch. And don't think that your little Johnny or your little Mary is that innocent. They know more than you do. So they will be accessing pornography. Now, I know there are all sorts of controls that you can put onto a phone. I don't know how well they actually work, but let me just see. Hang on. Okay, I'm fairly technically competent, okay? So if I want to add in, this could take me forever. I want to block my child getting access to stuff on phone here now. So this could take me all day, actually. Where would you even start looking? Okay, let's go into general. And, okay, hang on. So I'm scroll down here. Date and time, no. Jeez, I couldn't be, no. Accessibility, no. No. Actually, I can't actually find it. No, I'm sure it's here somewhere. I have an iPhone, and I'm sure it is here somewhere. But okay, I'm a parent. I'm after getting a phone from a little Johnny or little Mary, and I want to block all the porn stuff. How do I do it? Well, I can't, honestly now, like I said, I'm fairly technically competent. I know my phone fairly well, but I can't find how I would be able to block that. I'm going to continue looking and see if I can control center. No, it's not in there. No. Jesus, parents aren't going to bother with this. Who's going to be bothered? Restrictions. Here we go. Okay, so hang on now. Let's have a look and see what we... music content. Yeah. It's a bit complicated. Actually, I'm going to... Okay, we'll try and work this out. Terry, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Terry?
Not too bad, Adrian. How are you?
Good, Terry, thank you. Terry, you were... Sorry, turn down the radio there, Terry, if you don't mind. Have you got the radio on?
Yep.
Good man, thank you. Terry, you were contemplating getting your 8-year-old a smartphone for Christmas.
Well, I actually went one further than that yesterday. Me and my wife, we went out shopping and I actually got the iPhone. But after hearing this today, pure rethink, and they'll just not be getting it. We actually got it on the sense that, he plays a lot of football and stuff, and it's just, in case of emergency.
Yeah.
They could use it, they ring it. But
So,
at the
okay,
same time,
you actually bought an iPhone for your 8-year-old.
yeah.
Okay.
And the reason for it too was, if he spends journeys in the car and stuff, they can, access YouTube and. But just hearing how easy it is, and it's nearly unfair. I'm actually embarrassed that I actually was going to give it to him.
And this is the point. This is the point that it is instantly accessible, instantly. And any, sorry, did you not Terry? Are you honestly telling me that you didn't realise it was that easy to access porn on a phone?
You know what? I know how easy it is. I'm not going to lie about that. But I stupidly probably, I was thinking that it wouldn't have know how to do it. But like you said, and like you demonstrated, when young boys get together, they're that clever, and that was just a pure oversight that I didn't even consider. I was more concerned about him calling people and growing up too fast, but that's the world we're living in now. But just hearing how easy it is, or you demonstrating this morning, it just made me totally rethink it. And I'm actually embarrassed that I was going to give it to him.
So he's not getting the phone now.
Definitely not. 100% not.
Okay, now I know that there are ways, and in fact, I've just finally found it on my phone. And what I've done on my phone here is I have disabled I've restricted adult content on websites, okay? And then when I go into Google and I search for a sexual term, it says, no, we can't find anything, okay? However, while you can do that, again, your 8-year-old, should your 8-year-old choose, is going to be able to get around that no problem. Because they're not stupid.
Yeah.
They're not stupid.
Yeah.
So at this moment, my phone has a restriction on it that won't allow me to access pornography at this moment. But like I said, any child worth their salt will be able to work their way around that very, very quickly. So you're not going to allow your child to have access to an iPhone?
100% not. I just can't believe how cynical I was. They think that, I started with all good intentions that, football and they do activities, and he wanted an iPhone. They like taking photos with friends, and that's another concern, that me and the girlfriend sat and talked about, maybe, he might take photos that he shouldn't take, but this is just, like you say, it's too easy, and kids are growing up too fast nowadays that they will get past, the restrictions. They will find ways of accessing. And
okay, I'm after working it out now. Now it took me a while to work it out. I can limit adult content on my phone. I can allow access to only specific websites. And then I have a PIN code in it on my child's phone. So I put the PIN number in on the phone. They can't change it, okay? And that's all well and good. You can allow them access to the likes of Discovery Kids and Disney and National Geographic Kids. They can get it all those sites, but they can't get it on any other sites. Now, that's all grand, but I'm certain that children can get around this. I'm absolutely certain that they can.
I think if they go on the other Wi-Fi areas, then it's the restrictions of that Wi-Fi. I'm just working on the assumption that, on my own phone. But it's made me totally rethink, and it wasn't the fact that how easy it is to access these. I just didn't think that he would have the capable of accessing this, but like you demonstrated this morning, that it is very easy.
Extremely easy, yeah. Now, like I said, I've restricted websites to only specific websites. So let me see now if I try and get on to It's not letting me do anything now. Oh, yeah, it allows me, but I have to type in a PIN code first. So, yeah, it is possible. It is possible. But then you would have to ask the question, why would you bother giving your child a smartphone if you're restricting everything on it in the first place? You may as well just give them a basic phone that only makes phone calls. Stay there for a second. Carly, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Carly.
Hey, Adrian. How are you?
Carly, you don't see what the big hullabaloo is here.
Adrian, do you know what? It's absolutely ridiculous. I have a 9-year-old, right? Has the phone. No, I don't go checking his phone. I trust him. He's not on that like that. He really isn't. And I think people are carrying on ridiculous. You have to let kids, grow. I mean...
So does your child have a phone?
Pornography. Yeah, he has a phone.
And how old is your child?
9.
9. And what sort of a phone does he have?
An iPhone.
He has an iPhone?
Yeah.
And... do you, like I said, I'm after installing a load of restrictions on my iPhone. Have you restrictions on it?
No, I don't, Adrian.
Why? Do you not know how to do it?
What?
Do you not know how to do it?
Of course I know how to do it. You can go online anyway and, follow and see how to do it. But I don't want to be doing that. What is the point in giving the child the phone and then doing that? And these idiots
you could have given hang on, you could have given him a phone that doesn't do all that.
Come here, Adrian. He's 9. All his mates have iPhone. Do you know what I mean? So I'm hardly going to give him a little
right. So because he has it, because all his friends have it, you want him to have it as well. Okay, you've just heard Terry. Over this past weekend, he bought his child an iPhone, and now having heard how simple it is to get onto the internet and everything else, he's not letting him have it now.
Now, see, Adrian, my blood boils listening to this. Like, for instance, people worrying about their kids accessing porn, right? There's more porn in pop songs at the moment. Like, they're watching videos and they're half naked and the whole lot, and the words in it is vile anyway. So, I mean, it's just the world has changed. People need to stop carrying on as if we're still in the 70s, because we're not. Kids are sexually aware. Kids are far more advanced than we give them credit for. And they're not simple. I mean, if this was really going on all the time, that was that dangerous. There'd be kids getting abducted and they'd be all sex addicts by the time they're teenagers. It's ridiculous. The world is changing.
Okay, you heard the experiment we did there a couple of minutes ago where we got onto a porn site in 10 seconds. You want your child to be able to do that because you've no restrictions on his phone.
But sure, do them people think that, like, their mates can't send it to them through all their little apps? Of course they can. And they look at their friend's phone. You can't wrap kids up in bubble wrap like that. You can't wrap them in cotton wool and pretend that, they're perfect. Now, I do trust my young fella with the phone, and I don't have to be checking his phone. I know I don't need to. He's grand. Okay,
but stay there for 1 second. Dave, she knows by his behaviour that he's grand having an unrestricted iPhone.
That is one of the most irresponsible things I think I've ever heard another parent say. Genuinely. Like, a 9-year-old has no business owning an iPhone. A child has no business owning a smartphone. It's not even just porn. Here, shut your hole for a minute and let someone else talk.
Don't tell me to shut up, you simpleton.
Or what are you going to do about it?
Hang on, relax. Go on, Dave.
Shut your mouth.
Go on, Dave. What are you saying?
Right? In 10 seconds, it's not just porn, okay? You can do the amount of messed up shit that you can access with a phone, right? You could go from anything from porn to beheading videos to just some really awful, terrible shit. And having a 9-year-old with a smartphone and saying, oh, I know he won't look at that, that's bullshit. Every child, especially when a child hits puberty and they have a smartphone, obviously they're going to look at porn. And if you really believe they're not going to, you're an idiot. Like, I have a 7-year-old at home and he uses the internet every day and it is tightly controlled. The internet history on the laptop is checked every day. My YouTube history is checked every day. He plays video games online, but he doesn't play with other people. And that's going to be the crack until he's a teenager, because I know how people behave on the internet. And to say that my child has a smartphone and doesn't look at stuff he's not supposed to look at, that's just stupid.
Okay, I have to let you in on a little secret here. This is actually shocking. I'm quite taken aback by this. I have on my phone here restricted all adult content. Okay? That's what I've done. Restricted all adult content on the phone. So even if a parent does that, I'm after, because you just mentioned it there, Dave, I'm after finding a video here
Yeah.
Right? Hang on, and this video is of a child being beheaded in Syria. Holy shit.
There you go. Like, I mean, you can actually stumble on top of this stuff by pure accident.
Oh my Jesus! Sorry, I can't. I have to turn that off. Sorry.
Do you know what I mean?
The point I'm making is I've restricted adult content on my phone, and I can still get that.
Adrian, that doesn't matter a damn. Like, these kids are growing up with this technology, okay? So for the amount of time it took you to restrict that phone, I guarantee any child who is any bit tech savvy will be able to turn off all those restrictions in half the time it took you to turn them on.
Yeah,
I
think you're probably right. So where do
you
you draw the line then, Dave? What age do you think is the right age for a child to have a smartphone?
14, and even at that, restrict the hell of it. Like, there's software you can put onto phones that will track every single last little thing, every website, because, like, phones have an incognito browser, right?
Correct.
So you can go look at stuff with that browser that won't show up in your history. Do you know what I mean? But there is software out there you can get, and you can have it on your phone, and you can check from your laptop or wherever to make sure to see what they're looking at. Because, like, I'll give you a perfect example. I was walking down the road the other day, right, and I seen a bunch of girls between maybe the age of, like, 8 and 10 with smartphones taking selfies doing that stupid duck flips thing. Do you really want kids growing up doing that shit at that age, like?
I tell you, you certainly don't want kids watching this video I'm after coming across. Just
do you know what I mean? And the thing is, though, like, you don't have to go looking for it. You can stumble on that stuff by pure accident.
Yeah, but the point...
You just have to type in one wrong word and it can take you down.
Yeah, and the point I'm making here is that is with a phone with adult content restricted on it.
See, there you go, like. You know, you have the entire internet at your fingertips. And to let a child have free reign of that without even checking it is some of the most irresponsible shit I have ever heard.
By the way, this video I'm after seeing, my God almighty. That would disturb a child for life, Carly. Whatever about seeing sexual content, to see the video I've just seen, just because Dave happened to mention that you can see beheading videos, I'm after coming across this video. Holy God almighty, you don't want your child seeing this video.
Adrian, does he not understand that their friends showed him anyway? And do you know what I mean? He's carrying on as if his child lives in a concentration camp. That's all about control. Calm down, watch your child's behaviour, and you'll know if there's something wrong.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. Stay there for a second. 6797 981 is our telephone number. Text or WhatsApp the show 0877 98 98 98. Somebody just texted in, just block the internet. You see, there's absolutely no point in somebody having a smartphone if it can't access the internet. You may as well just give them an old Nokia. No point whatsoever. Somebody else said if you block Google, all you have to do is download a different browser. The restriction is on the phone, not the service provider. I did it on both my kids' iPads last year, and it works a treat. This stuff is readily available on YouTube. Ignore Google. All you have to do is search for how to do such and such sexually, and they're the holy grail for your 9-year-olds. And like I said, this bloody beheading video, I feel ill after seeing that. Mark, you're on Dublin's 98 FM. How are you, Mark?
How are you doing, Adrian?
Good, thanks, Mark. What did you want to say?
I just think that girl is very foolish. Like, it's not only the problem of children accessing content, it's the problem of people accessing children, if you get what I mean. Like, you're opening yourself up to, like, I just finished, I did a bit of a study there in UCD. It's a child exploitation course. And there's a fella there. I'd urge any parents to go onto YouTube and look up Michael Moran from Interpol and really educate yourself to what the dangers are on the internet.
Sorry, that guy's name, Michael Moran from Interpol. Michael Moran, yeah. And what he highlights how dangerous it actually is.
He's in charge of basically child exploitation and child trafficking in Interpol. He's an Irish guard actually on secondment over there, and like effectively, like I wonder, like, the internet is great and for certain things, but then also
it's an amazing invention and all of that. But for children, and this is the bit, Carly, that you and many other parents, you're not the only one, by the way. There are thousands of parents queuing up in shops this Christmas to buy iPhones or Samsung smartphones for their kids. You're certainly not the only one. And I also believe she's not the only one, Mark, who won't have any restrictions on their child's phone.
Exactly, yeah. And like I think another big problem as well is the internet service providers and the mobile network providers. So, for example, with 3, they automatically block, unless you're of the 18 or above and you have to prove your age, they block some content.
Right.
From mobile network users. But, like, that doesn't stop them. Once they go onto Wi-Fi, you can access that depending on what internet service provider you're with, whether it's Aircom or... Sorry, it's not Aircom anymore. It's Air, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, UPS, or sorry, not UPS, what's it called?
Virgin Media, yeah.
Virgin Media, yeah. But, like, they have a huge responsibility, and a lot of them aren't owning up to their responsibility when it comes to that either.
Okay, let me put all that to you, Carly. You haven't a clue the dangers you're subjecting your child to by allowing him have a smartphone at whatever age he is, 9 or 10.
Adrian, come here. I'm not stupid because I have older kids, like, so I know the dangers. But at the end of the day, I am realistic enough to know that if I give my uncle an iPhone and put all these restrictions and blocking on it, he'll just see what he wants to see through his friend's phone, and he'd be cute enough.
Yeah, but hang on. His phone could very well be. Your son could be the one going around showing all the dirty videos to his friends because other parents are actually behaving more responsibly.
But come here, like, Adrian, when I was growing up, right, what you had was, like, say, porn magazines, and the fellas in school would have them hid and they'd be even selling them, right? And that's just the equivalent nowadays of kids looking at videos. That's all it is. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing as young fellas with magazines, dirty magazines years ago. It's just
I know. I have to say, I agree with Mark here. It's not the same thing. You can have a full hour-long hardcore porn movie in your pocket. You couldn't do that with a dirty magazine.
I mean, the level of content that they're viewing nowadays, Adrian, is absolutely disgusting. And the other thing about it is it actually influences sexual behaviour in the future. I mean, the violence against women, the violence that's in pornographic images nowadays is the sort of violence that is ensuing on the young fellas when they go to have sexual behaviour.
And they think that this is the norm.
Yeah. It's extreme.
It must be simple. My young fella is not simple. Do you know what I mean? Like, he'd know the difference. Like, I'm talking about my older young fella. He'd know the difference between sexual aggression, like in a porn movie, to real life. Do you know what I mean? Like, they loved SpongeBob. They don't go around with yellow bits of fabric hanging off them, letting on to be SpongeBob.
Hardly the same thing now. Hardly the same thing.
Like.
Okay, but let me ask you then, Carly. Does it bother you, because your child has unrestricted access to an iPhone, does it bother you that your 9-year-old may have seen some pornography already?
No, because that's part of growing up, Adrian.
Not at 9.
Adrian, there's 9-year-olds having sex in this country.
They're like, few and far between, thank God.
Yeah, and you wonder why.
Yeah, exactly. You would wonder why. You're right, Mark. Sarah, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Sarah.
Hey, how's it going?
9-year-old has a smartphone too.
Yeah, he has. He's had it since his communion. I don't know what the big deal is here.
And sorry, what sort of a phone does he have? Not to make sense.
It's one of those Hawaii's Y7, I think it is.
Okay, but it has internet access.
Yeah.
And have you got restrictions on it?
Well, yeah, like I watch him on it. Like I don't have anything locked down. Like I watch him. I check it every day and stuff.
And is he with you all day, every day?
Well, he doesn't like go out. So once he leaves my house, he's no access to the internet. Like.
Why, he doesn't have it on his phone?
Well, he has it inside the house with the Wi-Fi, like, but when he leaves the house, I bought it for him.
You're watching him all day, every day?
Well, no, we're not watching 24/7. Obviously, no one can watch their kids 24/7, but he has a phone. I don't understand why everyone's getting on that woman's grill.
Well, there you go, Mark. Can't understand why people are upset over this. Sorry, give me...
Adrian, right? There's an awful lot of, you see it in the papers every day, there's an awful lot of abuse claims coming out. People have been abusing their children. There's groomers out there that are online, and they could be in a bar anywhere, right? And they're sexually exploiting your child without you realising.
Without you even realising. That guy's name...
They could be pretending to be, let's say, a young girl.
Yes, and before you know it, they're best friends. Using things like the Yellow app, which is another one parents need to be aware of. Michael Moore in Interpol, is he worth Googling for parents who might be concerned about this?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. One of the other things there as well, like there's this fella called Cooper. I can't remember his second name, sorry, but he has 3 things that you should look for, like when you're allowing your children to access the internet. So one of them is anonymity. So if your child is on any social media, they shouldn't be anyway. But if they are, they shouldn't have real credentials on it.
And
because you want to protect your children, but obviously people aren't going to do that. The other thing is the accessibility that they have to the internet. If you have control over the accessibility your children have to the internet, you also have control over who has accessibility to your children at the end of the day. If you're constantly monitoring the screen and seeing what they're accessing, who they're talking to, I mean, there's so many abuse claims out there. It happens
absolutely.
every day.
I agree with
every
you.
day of the week, and like people, I don't know whether they think it's just because we're in Ireland, but it happens everywhere.
All right, I'm really sorry for cutting across you, Mark, but I'm actually way out of time. Just one last text I want to read out. When I was in 3rd year in school, there was a lad who sold porn DVDs. Those DVDs ruined my view on sex and how to treat women. And if you think the porn DVD was bad, you should see some of the stuff you can access on the internet on your phone. Anyway, it's a warning. Google that man, Michael Moran from Interpol, who has a lot to say on this subject. This is 98fm's Dublin Talks.
The show getting Dublin talking.
Every morning from 10.
Adrian Kennedy.
Dublin Talks on 98FM.